viewer, welcome to Multimedia Plus Online Television and welcome to another edition of our broadcast. Top stories in this edition. National Association of Pharmaceutical Students manufactures 4 sets of alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Civil Society Working Group for Epidemic and Natural Disasters presents comprehensive report on the recently ended and national 3 days lockdown to journalists. Music for Girls Initiative Africa and My Expo Campus launches 2003 access codes to students and teachers. Media Initiative for Women and Girls Empowerment, MUGEM, in partnership with Girls Empowered and Queensware, engages girls at the Kube community. And what is this year's period of Ramadan like for Muslims amidst the COVID-19 measures? Well, all of these stories and more are all lined up in today's news broadcast. I am your host, Lucy Emanet Aliu. And now for the news and details. Muslims have now gone almost 2.5 weeks into their fasting period. But with COVID-19 hanging over the globe, this year's holy month of Ramadan is a bit constrained. In the midst of the many restrictions and the closure of mosques, many worshippers have resorted into praying at their private places. Our reporter, Mohamed Bakr Kamara, has been investigating the effects of the corona pandemic on this year's Ramadan.
Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, observed by Muslims worldwide as a period of fasting, prayer, reflection and charity. In Sierra Leone, barely a month to Ramadan, a group of restrictions including the closure of mosques were instituted to curtail the spread of COVID-19. But what will this mean for Muslims, especially during their holy month of fasting? Sheikh Farouk Adamba is the principal of Ansarul Islamic Institute.
Under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in destiny. And as you know, when the Ramadan time can come, Muslims then can meet in a masjid for do that Taraweeh prayer, that night prayer. But like this year, that's not be. And that affect we seriously. And when we youth them where they not read Islam better, some then even they not observe the fasting. Because of them in the field say if they not do Taraweeh, they not do that night prayer, that nafila, they not get right for prayer. Now later we able to correct Boku. Then also another serious one, when a dangerous one. This pandemic here, where it come, it make we get boku misleading teachings them inside this deen. One of them, people in the come na TV can do kutbah, silly people in pray Friday in the house. People in the come na radio can do nafila, silly people in nafila with them at the house. Well, this is very, very wrong. We don't advise radio stations them. We don't advise TV stations them, but they know yan for accept because they get their own agenda. All ma want propaganda, all ma want so insef, all ma want say na me take this lead. You know they ask if this lead correct or not correct. Now you make we can say sometimes we not regard religion at this country. Some people they not regard religion. Because anything we they say for put in place pertaining with dunya affairs, people they ready for take the measures. Now look, you know they enter na no office where not put that face mask. You know they enter no office where you no wash your hand. You know they enter no office where you know they maintain their rulings them because they say if you not do one corona go affect you. But we they tell the people they say Islamically not accept for lay person do kutba online people in free Friday. We don't tell radio and TV stations them. But because this not to dunya business, they're not yan for accept and they're not yan for believe.
The effects of COVID-19 are being nervously felt in Sierra Leone. The closure of masjids has had a significantly worrying effect on this year's holy month of Ramadan. But how compliant are Muslims to these new norms? Dr. Ibrahim Saliu Kamara is a senior lecturer at the Multimedia College of Education and Technology.
Because about was of course, also was a part of your religion. Not just an intensification about time. And we don't go to the media and say this issue was not to only Islam, Prophet Mita. In the book of Exodus, God commanded Moses and Aaron to wash their hands and wash their feet before entering the tabernacle when I got the house. And Jesus cannot change that law of the Moses. Inside the New Testament, Peter, Jesus Christ, wash your hand, wash your foot. He said, wash my whole body. So wash hand and foot, like till we inside religion.
The battle against COVID-19 is one that comes with numerous sacrifices, like the closure of mosques in Ramadan. Whilst Muslims are confined into their various makeshift corners to pray, one thought that comes to mind is for the scourge of COVID-19 to end. Multimedia Plus Online Television, I am Mohamed Baki Kamara.
Sierra Leone has begun recording a breakthrough in the area of health. For the first time in the country's history, the National Association of Pharmaceutical Students has succeeded in manufacturing its first set of alcohol-based hand sanitizer labeled as Napsol. As our reporter Fasasa Binta Jallo reports, Napsol is indeed one of a number of other projects being worked on by the association. The project was launched on Friday, 8th May 2020 at the college's campus at Joey. She has been talking to the president of NAPS, Fode Umar Toure, in this interview.
Before the inception of COVID-19 to our country, Sierra Leone, there are a lot of things we'll be thinking about as students, what we can do in the fight of the COVID-19. During the Ebola, our seniors were part of the surveillance team and everything. So COVID-19 was a different case. So during a white coat ceremony, we used to have a company skills event. During a company skills event, wherein pharmacy students come and then compete in company various solutions, paracetamol and other solutions and tabs. We thought it fit that this year we should do something different. So during our white coat ceremony, discussions came up in relation to what we can do. And as a president, I thought it fit that we can, however, help in the fight of COVID by producing alcohol-based hand rub. So we thought it fit, and then what actually moved us when we learned that alcohol-based hand rub, the price escalated from 7,000, 10,000 to 50,000 and 60,000, and we can locally produce them in our country, and it's part of our training as pharmacy students. It started from the 18th of March, and I think we did our first production on the 28th of April. So there are a lot of challenges. Firstly, we need to find a site for the production, the laboratory. So we had to write a formal letter to the Republic of Sierra Leone Joint Medical Unit. We have to find sponsorship for the project. So we wrote letters and proposal, and then the Pharmaceutical Society of Sierra Leone and the Young Pharmacists Group came to our rescue. They sponsored and supervised the project. And then also we have to train the students. It's part of their training in school, but we have to equip them in relation to good manufacturing practice and all other things. So all those were challenges. And the biggest challenges were also to get the ingredient needed for the production of the alcohol-based hand rub. We had to get the hydrogen peroxide, we had to get the glycerol, we had to get the ethanol and all. And it came to a stop. It must have been a failed project without saying this. The packaging that we use, you can go through all the market. People are asking us, where do we get the packaging for? It's very difficult because we didn't want to just do a hand rub wherein we do not think about how the integrity of the product can be assured via the packaging. So it was really difficult for us also. For us, we ensure the good manufacturing practice is being done. That is from the point of getting the materials. All the materials were tested at the lab. From there, we do in-process and end-process testing. And during our in-process testing, we knew that the ethanol that was used was 98% ethanol. So at the end-process testing, also we knew that it's 80% ethanol. All that was done was in accordance to WHO standards, and also we in harmony with the Pharmacy Board of Sierra Leone.
The Civil Society Working Group on Epidemics and Natural Disasters has presented a comprehensive report on the recently ended National 3 Days lockdown to journalists in Freetown. Here is the report. One of the recommendations of the report, among others, is for the Interreligious Council to step in and calm the heightening political and tribal tension in Sierra Leone. The national coordinator of the Civil Society Working Group on Epidemics and Natural Disasters, Rashid Doumbouya, started by explaining the fundamental human rights that were breached during the 3 days lockdown.
As a strategy to dealing with the coronavirus, a state of public emergency has been declared and several lockdowns have been also declared, including a curfew. Such measures have had direct and indirect impact on citizens' fundamental rights. In Sierra Leone, the human rights of citizens are not only protected by the Constitution, but also domestic, international, and regional human rights laws and instruments. The pertinent questions, however, to ask are, is the method adopted by the state in managing the COVID-19 pandemic not in conflict with human rights law? How well has the state been able to leverage on the exceptions granted within the framework of international human rights law for the state to restrict some of these rights in exceptional situations without being overbearing? International treaties guarantee the protection of non-derogable rights, such as the right to life, right to freedom from torture, inhumane and degrading treatment, and genocide. These rights must never be limited even in a COVID crisis, period. According to Article 6 of the UN International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, for example, the right to life is guaranteed. In addition, the UN International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights also make provision for the protection of the right to life.
He continued by giving general updates on the observation, findings, and challenges before, during, and after the nationwide lockdown.
Efforts were made by the government to implement cash transfers and foodstuffs to vulnerable groups through NACSA, commencing before the lockdown. Monthly national support was disbursed to the Ministry of Health by the government to aid the fight against COVID-19. Updates on the COVID-19 and the relevant information on the 3 days lockdown was made available by the spokesperson of the COVID-19 Secretariat to the general public. Challenges. There were problems with orange money and after-sale money transactions before the lockdown, leading to panic within the city and difficulty to even purchase electricity and recharge meter during the 3 days lockdown. Political tensions were also on the increase between the ruling party and the main opposition party, creating distraction in the fight against COVID-19. Some few arrests and detention of political opponents were also executed by the state during this period. There was a report also of an escape of case 90 from the detention center, thereby posing a serious threat to the general population.
Mr. Doumbouya, however, continued with recommendations made based on their findings to the president and his government to take into consideration in future lockdowns. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online Television, I am Lucy Emanet Aliu. We reminded you of viewing content from the Multimedia Plus Online Television. As the fight against COVID-19 intensifies, Music for Girls Initiative Africa and My Expo Campus launches a 2,000 free access codes of My Expo app to students, teachers, and schools in Sierra Leone. Esther Michael is the founder of Music for Girls Initiative Africa. In an interview with Multimedia Plus Online TV, she speaks more on the venture.
COVID-19 is just like Ebola. When we recorded the highest teenage pregnancy rates ever in history of Sierra Leone, this was because many girls were home. There was no school. Everything was in standstill, and we're experiencing the same thing again. And so our partners, My Expo app, decided to support us to reach out to 2,000 girls. It's open to boys and girls in SS1 to SS3, but we are particularly driving this program for girls, this app. It's a virtual teacher with animation, so with subjects from English, maths, and the sciences, basically art stream, the commercial stream, and science stream. This is so that while we are home, while young girls at home. They can get to learn or study, without having to be in the classroom, and thereby they're occupied, and we don't have to go through what we went through during the Ebola outbreak. So my Expo app is a digital learning platform for where young people, children, girls especially, in SS1 to SS3 can study and learn. It's a self-taught, animated, virtual, digital teacher. Majority of our girls are always on Facebook, but it works with their SIM pack, sort of like an SD card that they can just insert in their phone, so they don't really need internet. And we are reaching out to as many girls as we can through mediums like this, and I want to say thank you for giving us the platform to come and talk about this opportunity that we don't want any girl to miss. 2,000 codes, the access codes, because that's what we can afford as an organization, and we hope that individuals, NGOs can come on board and partner, support this cause. And
well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching news coming to you from Multimedia Plus Online Television. We will now go for a short break. Stay focused.
The package if you get even the haters testify, called the man when I was amateur. Couldn't holler them, I tell this vicious fever, the Taliban. The game don't see.
The boy Caldanero, man. Live and direct, man, within our studio, man. Kiss the Throne EP coming. I just currently want to freestyle at this very good studio. The setup is good. Emanize and Django. Shout out to Una. Proud of what Una they do. We need more of this in the industry.
Hey, this is Emerson, the last man standing. Of course, we're right here at Multimedia Plus, and we had a great session. And come check it out. It's a great studio, great sounds, great producer, and support your own saloon content. Sugar Entertainment at Multimedia Plus. Peace.
Voiceover we there, simple and soundtrack we there, documentary podcast we there.
Welcome back to Multimedia Plus Online Television as we continue with the rest of our broadcast. Media Initiative for Women and Girls Empowerment, in partnership with Girls Empowered and Queen's Wear, has on Friday 7th May engaged girls at the Kube community on ways they could prevent themselves from sexual exploitation and also prevent themselves from the novel coronavirus pandemic. Here is the report. Following the outbreak of the corona pandemic in Sierra Leone, many organizations have been springing up and supporting the government in the fight against the pandemic. This time, it is the Media Initiative for Women and Girls Empowerment, an organization that inspires and empowers young women and girls to acquire 21st century media techniques and skills so as to dominate the media landscape in Sierra Leone. Amongst the list of items donated at Kube were face masks and school learning materials to children of the community. Adam Asila is the president of Medium.
The coronavirus pandemic in the country, and these girls are beneficiaries. We thought that as a responsible organization, we must reach out to these girls and see how we can sensitize them on preventive ways of keeping themselves safe during this period. So this was done in collaboration with Girls Empowered, Diaka, who is also the owner of We Own Bokits, like communities and people, to continue the hand washing habit, and also that of Queen's Wear, Josephine, Kamara, and Madonna Gaba. In fact, they provided us with a face mask that we've distributed to the girls today, and even what we're putting on. Well, our beneficiaries actually are about 15 girls, because we don't want to have so many girls we can't support. But because of today's event, we had more than 20 girls who were part of the engagement, and it was interesting to know that some of them did not even know how to put on their face masks. So we had to take them through the process, and we also had to, guide them on how they must wash their hands. Because for us, it's not just about washing your hands; it's about the procedures that you have to go through to wash your hands to ensure that they are perfectly clean. So that was what we did here today. We distributed books. Pens, just few learning materials, because when they stay at home, we don't want them to just be playing around. We want them to engage their minds, because that's the main focus of the Media for Girls Islam Community Project. You're welcome.
Diaka Koma is the founder of Girls Empowered and the local producer of Wiyom Bokit. Whilst engaging the girls on preventive ways of keeping themselves safe during these trying times, she also admonished them to focus on their studies even while they are currently at home, so that when school finally resumes, they can return as girls and not as mothers.
We know for don't learn book, we know where we for don't get so. If not a book make, we organization not for don't sit down, we think of better idea there so for convert 5 gallons. We don't get 5 gallons. If they not responsible for what they can't say, they can't like it. If not for me and Auntie Anna might be a fella, or we all a young woman they are so we see now so. We not for don't get now so they make it. Alive. Sometimes by now, we for don't go on like 5 begin why is the one they continue education? And right now, I don't see how things don't be. Now just like Ebola, where they don't tell me that say, nobody not for go school. The COVID-19 don't done as salon. When I able for take on a bag and wear on a uniform and go to school without getting belly. After Ebola, when I see them people they get belly, waiting and tell them and say they go to school again. And me, I always say that people will like education.
Beneficiaries of the training later conveyed their thanks and appreciation to Museum, and also shared thoughts on some of what they learned from the training.
You the patient was you they take the soap, you take the water, you clean your properly, even you clean the nails. The advice we say for take care of yourself, not to like say what school law before let yourself get but take the foolish you for maintain what school law for only for take care of yourself.
It is worth noting that the Media for Girls Community Project was launched in 2019 by Media Initiative for Women and Girls Empowerment, and this intervention is just one amongst many undertakings of the organization. Reporting for Multimedia Plus Online Television, I am Lucy Emanet Aliu. The Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone has issued a press release bitterly criticizing the recent spate of political and ethnic violence in the country. Our reporter Anthony Vandi spoke to the General Secretary for the Interreligious Council in Sierra Leone, Reverend Dr. Usman Chesifona, who also doubles as president of the Evangelical Fellowship of Sierra Leone in this interview.
Sierra Leonean is aware of the tensions in the country. I don't want to call it a political tension. It can be political or otherwise. It is causing a whole lot of unrest for many people, creating fears in the minds of many Sierra Leoneans who heard about burning of houses and police stations in Tumbo, in Lunsar, in Cambia, and also the fire incident at the correctional center at Padembo Road. As we all know, the war is very fresh in the minds of many Sierra Leoneans when these things happened. And we have the opinion that as religious leaders, the Interreligious Council in particular, being the moral guarantor of the peace in Sierra Leone, a nomenclature given to them by the international community by virtue of the role that the Interreligious Council played in bringing an end to our 11-year civil conflict in this country, we thought it was hard time for us to sound a bell of warning to Sierra Leoneans and to also remind the government of Sierra Leone of our position as moral guarantors and that we are available to mediate in every conflict or grievance that people may have. And we also wanted the Sierra Leoneans to know that there are a lot of redress mechanisms that have been established in the country, including the Interreligious Council. So if for any reason you have a grievance, we expect you to use one of those mechanisms rather than taking the law at your hand. And during those meetings, we also met with the police, the hierarchy of the police. And we asked them, what do you think is responsible for the crisis in this country? Some of them blamed us. Some of them accused us. We accepted it in good faith as religious leaders. But we told them we are ready to change the story. So the press release was sent out to trigger the minds of the people. And that is why a critical part in that press release, we availed ourselves to the government, to the main opposition, and to the people of Sierra Leone. Let them remember the role that the Interreligious Council have played over the years. And we are still available to play that role. Let the government and the opposition have confidence in us and give us the working platform so that we can do this work. So the press release is an appeal to the government. Let them give us the privilege. Let them give us the opportunity so that we can help them. I tell you, my brother, if the leading government, the SLPP, and the main opposition do not work together, we are not going to enjoy peace in this country. If they do not work together, we are not going to experience development in this country. And I want to let President Bio know that he is the president of this country. He is the one that every Sierra Leonean voted for. The majority voted for him. So now he is the president of this country. It's a position that nobody can take away from him.
Well, welcome back, viewer. Let's go for guides on preventive measures and keeping ourselves safe in the midst of the coronavirus. Well, that's all we have time for in today's news broadcast on Multimedia Plus Online Television. But before we close, here's a recap of the headlines. National Association of Pharmaceutical Students manufactures 4 sets of alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Civil Society Working Group for Epidemic and Natural Disasters presents comprehensive report on the recently ended and national 3 days lockdown to journalists. Music for Girls Initiative Africa and My Expo Campus launches 2003 access codes to students and teachers. Media Initiative for Women and Girls Empowerment, MUGEM, in partnership with Girls Empowered and Queensware, engages girls at the Kube community. And what is this year's period of Ramadan like for Muslims amidst the COVID-19 measures? That's how we draw down the curtains for today's broadcast. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Multimedia Plus Online Television for more updates, news broadcasts, programs, and interviews. We're also on Facebook at Multimedia Plus. Please visit, like, and share our page. Until we meet again next time, I have been your presenter, Lucy Emanet Aliu. Stay blessed and stay safe.